The board will hear two hearings today. Hearing number 8200, a conditional use revocation hearing regarding 3800 Gravois, and hearing number 8201, a conditional use revocation hearing regarding 4649 Carter. During the hearings today, your testimony is being recorded. If you come forward to testify, please state your name and address and be sworn in. As you testify, please direct your comments to the board and not to those in the audience. Members of the audience are asked to remain silent and not to coach the witnesses. During your testimony, members of this board may have questions for you. Following the hearings today, the board will proceed with its regular agenda. Following the conclusion of the regular agenda, the board will deliberate and vote on both the hearings. The board will notify the permit holders of its decisions by mail. Hearing number 8200. Hearing number 8200 is being conducted pursuant to Section 26.100.030 of the Revised Code of the City of St. Louis. The purpose of the hearing is to determine whether the conditional use permit issued to M&I CO Mohammed Ali Ben Amour to occupy 3800 Gravois as a convenience store with no cooking nor liquor, with resale cell phones and repairs, subject to certain conditions, should be revoked. The conditional use permit is numbered as 123271. The conditions at question are conditions 4 and 5, which read as follows. Condition 4, there should be no sale of items that can be used or intended for use as drug paraphernalia as defined in Ordinance 68404 or its successor ordinances, including but not limited to food scales, glass tubes, rolling paper, ephedrine, pseudoephedrine, diet supplements, sleep aids, bath salts, or substitutes for illegal drugs. In addition, there should be no sale of cigars or cigarillos commonly used or adapted for the use involving a controlled substance, examples of which include but are not limited to the following: Swisher, Splitterillos, Backwoods, Optimo, Garcia and Vega, and Game. Condition 5, there shall be no temporary signage off or on premise or posted to the exterior or interior of the windows or doors of the establishment at any given time. The Board of Public Service has in its possession the following documents which are being introduced into evidence. Item 1, a certified copy of Section 26.100.030 of the Zoning Code of the City of St. Louis. Item 2, a conditional use permit numbered 123271 issued to M&I CO Muhammad Ali Ben Amour to occupy 3800 Gravois as a convenience store with no cooking nor liquor, with resale cell phones and repairs, subject to certain conditions. Item 3, a letter dated May 3rd, 2017, sent to M&I CO Muhammad Ali Ben Amour for the zoning inspector, warning of the violations of the condition numbers 4 and 5 that were found upon a recent site inspection, and a potential for a revocation hearing should the violations not be corrected within 30 days of the date of the letter. Item 4, a memorandum from the zoning inspector to the zoning administrator stating that upon her reinvestigation performed on June 7, 2017, the zoning inspector still found violations of conditions numbered 4 and 5 of the conditional use permit. Item 5, public notices for today's hearing. Item 6, a certified letter dated June 27, 2017, sent to the conditional use permit holder from the board secretary providing notice of today's hearing. The Office of the Zoning Administrator has the burden to prove the conditional use permit holder and conditions have not been complied with. After all evidence of the Zoning Administrator has been presented, the board will ask for additional testimony, if any, in support of the revocation. Then the conditional use holder will be given the opportunity to present evidence. Lastly, the board will hear other testimony in opposition to the revocation, if any. At this time, the board asks a representative from the Office of the Zoning Administrator to please come forward and be sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name for the board, please.
My name is Myra Turner, zoning inspector for the city of St. Louis, room 400, City Hall.
Can you please tell the board about your investigations?
Okay, the beginning investigations, they had a lot of signage, and they had the cigars. As of today, they still have the cigars, and they have just a little bit of temporary signage. They've taken the bulk of the signage off, but they still have on the door some temporary signage, and I think they have one banner type sign on the side of the building that's still there. Other than that, they've taken most of the signage off, but they still do have some temporary signage, and the pictures are there.
So currently, we still have a violation of condition 4 and 5.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board? Okay. Thank you very much. If there's anyone else present who wishes to testify in support of this revocation, please come forward and be sworn in.
Is George Clark? Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Would you state your name for the board and your address, please?
George Clark, 3642 Bamberger.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Go ahead and state your case.
I'm a 12-year resident of the Wedge area in Tower Grove South neighborhood. The Wedge is bound by Gravois, Chippewa, and Grand Boulevard. 4 years ago, I purchased my home on 3600 block of Bamberger, and also became the block captain for the 3600 and 3700 blocks of Bamberger. During that time, my fellow residents and I have witnessed the ebb and tide of criminal and nuisance activity on our street. We successfully fought to have a major drug house shut down at 3600 Bamberger. We have supported the Tower Grove Neighborhoods Community Development Corporation as they rehab nuisance properties and abandoned buildings. We're working together to combat trash on our streets and in our alleys, all in an effort to create a safe and area to live. The residents was hopeful that the ongoing nuisance and criminal behavior that emitted by Zozo's Market would cease when they were notified that the new owners were taking control of the market late last year. Unfortunately, that has not been the case. In fact, the problems have grown worse. Zozo's Market continued to sell items that cater to the unsavory element that we have been trying to remove from the neighborhood. Shelves filled with drug paraphernalia, drug detox drinks, herbal speed and supplements, and items that often adapt for illegal drug use, such as single cigarillos, ephedrine, and dextromorphine-based medication, vapor pipes, single razor blades, and scales. The signs that was once hung in the windows obscuring any view into the store have now been replaced with the black window film that provides the same effect. Drug dealers and loaders are once again at the corner of Gravois Bamberger, frequenting the market and congregating in front of Zozo's. That have resulted in violence, fight, noise, banned dishing of weapons. The trash produced from the market is a constant issue on the sidewalks and the street with overflowing dumpsters. The result of all this changes the way residents feel about the neighborhood and the way others view it driving down the street. Residents are left feeling unsafe and insecure walking down the street. The worry about leaving their home unprotected and investigating ways to avoid being the victim of crime become daily occurrences. Good residents choose to move out of the neighborhood because the stress of constantly worrying about crime is just too much. Our neighborhood, like so many city neighborhoods, suffers at the hands of criminals and nuisance behavior. Our neighborhood is full of honest, hardworking, and responsible citizens who deserve to live in a place they feel safe. Yet businesses like Zozo's have directly impacted that quality of life in the Wedge. Many residents have to work each day to provide a life for themselves and their families and are unable to attend hearings such as the one we have today and voice their concerns. As a resident and block captain, I have compiled their concerns and have been asked to speak on their behalf. We ask the conditional use permit for Zozo's Market be revoked in hopes to continue to move forward in creating a safe, healthy neighborhood for our families and neighbors. We do not wish to prevent anyone from making a living, but it should not be at the cost of the residents in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the board? Thank you.
Right, do I have to submit this?
If there's anyone else present who wishes to testify in support of this revocation, please step forward at this time and be sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Would you state your name and address for the board, please?
James Zerngibel. I own 3619 and 3639 Bamberger. I manage 3701 Bamberger and 3728 Hydraulic, which is the sister street over. As a businessman, we've come in to try to make this a better neighborhood. And one of the things that George had mentioned is this letter he has, which is signed by, I think, 27 different residents representing over 50% of the people on this street. Okay, so it's the majority of the people on the street are aware of the problem. I have found it very difficult over the period of time to get and keep good residents because of the traffic, because of the comings and goings near the store. And the store is kind of an anomaly in that area because directly across the street is Shop and Save. There's a Mideast Market kitty corner to it. Aldi's is 2 blocks away, 3 blocks away. Schnucks is 3 or 4 blocks away. The only need that this store fulfills is things that a legitimate business does not carry. And that's the problem we have. So I just hope you guys find it, to do something about it. Thank you.
Any questions from the board? Thank you, sir. Anyone else who wishes to testify in support of the revocation, please step forward.
Elsie? Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Would you state your name and address for the board, please?
My name is Kelsey DeYoung, and I am a tenant of Jim's at 3639 Bamberger. We have lived there, it will be 2 years this November, and we have 2 small children, and I love the direction that Jim and George and Kristen and Megan have taken. There are children everywhere, there's families outside playing. The only thing that bothers me is whenever someone hauls down our street, it's a one-way street, stops, runs into this market, grabs whatever, and leaves within a matter of 2 or 3 minutes. I moved to the city to get away from the meth and heroin problem that happened in St. Charles. And I see it coming back. I see the kinds of people going in and out, and I see kids going in and out, coming back with nothing. So I went in one day, and the first thing I saw was bubblers, bongs, glass pipes, roller papers, cigarillos, barely any food, barely any water. My son would love to be able to walk to the fun little store at the end of the block and buy chips, soda, candy, but I don't feel safe with him going in there at all, and it's just not okay. I don't think that this is the direction that the street wants to go in. For a city that is so against the heroin epidemic and you have signage everywhere, if you guys were to walk in there, you would be flabbergasted. And that's all.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Thank you very much. Anyone else who wishes to testify in support of the revocation, please step forward.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Would you state your name and address for the board,
Sure.
please?
My name is Kristen Nichols. My address is 3739 Oak Hill Avenue, and I work for Tara Grove Neighborhoods Community Development Corporation. We service an area that is Shaw Southwest Gardens and Tower Grove South, and though you know the city, my address I just gave is actually 2 blocks from Zozo's Market, right there at the corner of Gravois and Bamberger. A large portion of my job is doing community outreach in areas that are underserved in our neighborhoods, in our service area, going into blocks that are riddled with nuisance properties, blighted buildings, crime, and working with the residents to try and help find a better way to live, to deal with the trash, to deal with the crime, to root out what the problems are, and then help resolve them, working with the city police, the city councilors, our alderwomen, and our NSOs. Zozo's Market's been an issue for a long time. It has never been as much of an issue as it has in the last 6 months. And it horrifies me to say that because we have been working tirelessly on those blocks trying to create a safe environment. The building directly across the street from Zozo's Market, we purchased 2 years ago. The reason we purchased it was because there was over 200 calls for service for drug activity in 2 years. It was huge. We went in, we had a state-issued search warrant. They raided the place, pulled out a lot of heroin, made a lot of arrests. We went back in, redid the building, found good tenants, still keeping the rents low so that they can still live in those areas. The blocks over there have stabilized so much in the last 2 years, except for that one corner. And I thank everyone at zoning for coming out and checking out and looking to make sure that they're doing what they should do according to their conditional use permit. Last Thursday, I went into Zozo's Market. I have pictures of what is still available for sale in there. Not only is it cigarillos, it is drug paraphernalia, including one-hitters. It is detox drinks. There are grinders for marijuana. There are single razors that are for sale in a container that have been broken apart from packs. There is an entire shelf of NyQuil Severe. There, if you go, there's actually a website called NyQuilAbuse.com. It is so rampant right now as a substitute illegal drug with children, and that's what's being sold. You'll see through all the pictures of the other items in there as well. The second thing about my visit on Thursday that was very telling was as I'm standing there, a 13-year-old kid from around the corner pops in and was immediately sold cigarillos, who he then went outside, emptied out, and rolled into blunts. Here comes cars at Bamberger, and they were sold. It happened that quick. It happened in front of me and 2 other witnesses. No caring that people were watching. That's the kind of activity that's coming out of Zozo's Market. And I would really hope that you guys would take the time to look at the residents, their complaints, and the work we're trying to do down there, and let us find an alternative source for a good neighborhood market for that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board?
Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to testify in support of the revocation, please step forward. Be sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you state your name and address for the board, please?
Sean Spencer at 4166 Floor Place. First, I want to thank the inspector for doing a wonderful job and doing what we hope as city residents will happen in all the city departments. This is why we're here, and because she did a good job, we know what's happening, and we know the impact on the residents, and this board's in a position to make a decision to go forward. So I am in support of the revocation of the business license. As director of the Tower Grove Neighborhood CDC, we've got $700,000 invested on that block, which was considered one of the worst blocks in Tower Grove South. In order for us to be successful, we need to be able to have tenants that understand and have a high quality of life. And because of the issues with this particular establishment, that's not happening with some of our residents, and we're starting to see people move out of our buildings. Once people start moving out of our buildings, the reputation for the street comes back, the negative reputation, and going forward, it's harder for us to rent, and it's harder for us to convince other people to come and invest in this particular area. So that's why it's that important for us to be here and to show some sign of community strength, and just wanted to make sure that I was clear on that.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
I do have 2 letters from tenants that have seen the activity over there, including one that moved out about 3 months ago because of the store.
Anyone else who wishes to testify in support of the revocation, please step forward and be sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Would you state your name and address for the board, please?
It's Alderwoman Megan Green, 3950 Parker Avenue. So since I took office a little bit over 3 years ago, we have done a tremendous amount of work in this area. We had almost a 50% vacant rate in terms of housing that was underutilized. We had a lot of folks who were scared to go into this area, and we've put in a ton of work to make sure that there's quality, affordable housing that people want to live in on these blocks. I think probably the first month I was in office, I sat down with Zozo's Market, and we have never really seen an improvement in the business operations, and continue to receive complaints over and over and over again from residents who want to move into that area, who want to help revitalize that area, who move in and quickly feel unsafe. And if we're really trying to put resources into one of the most underserved areas of our ward, we need to make sure that we are tackling the safety issues. And so I'm in support of revocation, because we have put in a lot of time and effort, and a lot of great residents like George Clark, who is constantly out there, keeping eyes on the block. But as long as we have a business that is operating there that isn't abiding by the rules of business, we're not going to be able to really, I think, achieve the potential of that area. So I would ask that you please consider that.
Are there any questions for the Alderman? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
If there's anyone else present who wishes to testify in support of revocation, please step forward. Seeing none, the board asks the conditional use permit holder to please come forward and be sworn in.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, state your name for the board.
Okay.
State your name
My
and
name
address.
Muhammad Ali bin Amor,
And your address.
3800 Grey Voice Avenue.
And state your name for the board.
Omar El Manyawi,
And your address.
3800 Grab Voice.
Please proceed.
Okay. I buy these stores from guy's name. His name Zozo Market. But before Zozo, is another guy's. He's from different country. He buy from Zozo. So this store is having a lot of problem when I buy it. So this store is named M&I Market. When I buy this store, I change a lot of stuff in this store. So I make more camera. I don't want. They sell single cigarette. They do a lot of stuff bad in this store. So when I come in there, I save some money. I try to open convenience store, sell like something like chips, soda, make food stamp, fix phone, fix laptop, cell phone, and after, like I don't have a food stamp, and I sell this store. Is have 1 year now ago. So I sell this store to my cousin. So my cousin, he tried to do the best for this store, to fix and clean, make air conditioner. So when Zozo and the other do have it, maybe they talking about like problem and some criminal people come around. But when I have the store, I stop everything. Nobody come at this store have problem. I put more camera. I save a lot of neighbor. They stolen car. I keep my eyes on it, and it's a have 3 times. It's my neighbor. His car is stolen, and the lady and the other lady. So my camera is I put it in sensitive place in the street. So I'm convenience store plus is my neighbor. That's it, sir.
So this board gives out conditional use permits. They approve them for businesses to live and work in harmony with your neighbors, to be in neighborhoods that are not zoned for businesses. You understand that?
But
Do you understand why you have a conditional use? It's given to you because it is not a business area. It's so that you can work in concert with your neighbors. And so, as a series of conditions, we direct you not to do certain things, okay? 2 of the conditions here are very clear. They talk about all these items of drug paraphernalia and cigarillos and cigars. They talk about signage without a permit, okay? And so all the neighbors and the alderman came up today, and they testified that you guys are not in compliance with that. The zoning inspector, you are not in compliance with that. We have all these pictures here of all these things that you're not supposed to have. That's what I want to hear about. I don't want to hear about everything else you've done. I want to hear about why are you in violation of these two conditions, and what are you going to do about it?
So all the street, they sell cigarillo and cigar. We pay tax for this. We buy this from bigger store. It's named Rock Bar. So cigar and cigarillo, when I sell this cigar and cigarillo is inside the packet, because some people, they smoke cigar, like cigar, regular cigar, but when they buy it, I don't know what they're gonna do it for with it, because it's a cigar. And like a lot of people, they use it to put a drug on it, but what we sell it is tobacco.
That's true, but you're not supposed to have it at all, okay?
But
That's
in
the
Hall
rule.
Street, on Hall Street, all of them, like maybe like I forget to bring the picture for all the store in street, like in the store in close to me, Save a Lot, and the other is 7-Eleven, is another store close to. Is too many store in the street. They sell cigar and cigarillo.
Okay.
So I don't have no food stamp. I'm waiting for the food stamp coming, because all this neighbor, they have food stamp and they have kids. They don't want to go to close street because there's a lot of accident happen. Because I see a lot of my neighbor, they want his kids coming to my store because they worry about his kids. And about the cigarillo, I do the same thing with the whole store, like almost like 6 or 7 one. I take picture on it, but I forget to bring the picture with me. Is all of them, they sell the cigar and cigarillo and all the stuff what I sell.
And we're not here to talk about what everybody else does. We're here to talk about what the conditions are on your conditional use permit, and it specifically prohibits that, okay? Let's go to signage. Let's talk about that, temporary signage. So the zoning inspector came out and talked to you about signage. You took some of it down. Why didn't you take it all down?
Okay, so about the store, I have like almost 3 months I no work at the store. I sell the store. So my cousin, he have the store. He changed a lot of stuff on it. So right now, I'm not the owner. He's a new owner. He's here. So when they told me about the sign, about something, I no get nothing, sir. I no got no letter. And there's nothing coming to me. Maybe it's somebody else get this one. Because the mail is almost make make-mistake. When something coming to my store, is go upstairs. For the ladies live on top of me. So maybe this is make me like I don't understand what's going on. But I have 3 months or more, I'm not working at this store. So he, the new owner, he changed everything in the store. So like I'm just coming from Chicago. I respect you because I need come. So they asked me to come, and I'm coming. So I'm coming from Chicago. I'm moving my business over there, and he tried to open the business there because he tried to open a kitchen and he tried to do something else.
Okay. Any other questions from the board for the conditional use permit holder? Thank you, guys.
You need to hear from me? Well, sir, I am not here. The only mistake that I did is a month and a half ago, I bought the store. I didn't know anything about any of these problems, okay? And I came here to apply for a license. And Mr. Bob, he said, do not do anything in the store. The store need a lot of work, need a lot of grocery. I want to do a lot of different things in the store. But he told me, do not do anything because there is a hearing, and I didn't know anything about it. And he told me I can still continue to sell the cigarillo and the cigar as long as the hearing didn't take place yet. And you can ask him. But after that, I did everything I could, but I didn't know that the store have a problem. I'm not against these people. I respect everything they said, okay? But I didn't create the problem. I just bought the store. That's the only mistake I did, okay? And the young lady, she said that I sold a single cigar to 13-year-old. I want her to show me any picture of that, because anybody comes there and he looks young, I've always asked for a driver license. And if they don't have, I don't sell. Now, I had no problem not to sell the cigar or cigarillo, but I did what I did. I did what I was told. I was told to take all the sign down, and I did. I replaced the paper because the sun was going through the window without all this, sign that was on the window before, and it'll make the store so hot. And I at least spent about $3,000 the last week to try to fix that store. I replaced a big air conditioner that it cost me about almost $1,450, and I did the lighting that the inspector asked me to do when I applied for the permit. I didn't have a hot water, and I had to buy a heater, and I get the plumber to do a hot water for me. I comply with everything. I got a trash cans out there, they delivered one, and they had one before, like 3 or 4 weeks, okay? So the trash around the store is not me, I didn't know that I supposed to be out the store just picking the trash that the people would throw, So I am not really doing any problem to this community. I just bought the store. And if I know that, believe me, I would never buy it, because I don't want no headache, you see? I'm telling you the truth. That's all I know. And either the inspector, she told me that they knew that they had a problem, but I didn't know.
When did you buy the store?
I bought the store about a month to 2 weeks.
Okay, so about a month and a half ago,
Yes.
about 6 weeks.
And I came here, but they told me I'm just inspected, or I can't do anything until they do the hearing with Muhammad, okay? Because they said, you are not the one who had in violation, okay?
Right.
So I didn't know. I just bought the store, and I thought that everything is okay. I didn't know that these people have all this problem with the store.
He is the conditional use permit holder. He is the person who needs to make the changes.
But I did whatever that I could, to make, to get that permit. That's all I'm asking.
Any questions from the board? Okay, thank you. If there's anyone else present opposing this revocation that wishes to testify, please come forward and be sworn in. Okay, at this time, I'd like to call the zoning administrator back up, please. Zoning inspector, please. So again, just to make sure that I've got my facts correct here, when's the last time you performed an inspection?
Today,
And we still have violation of condition 4 and 5?
correct.
And you feel very comfortable that you've spoken to the conditional use permit holder, and you were very clear explaining condition 4 and 5 and what those mean?
Let me see this, Mr. Chairman. When I originally went out to this facility, the gentleman that just spoke was not there. This gentleman was there when I originally started this case. I explained and talked to him verbatim about what needed to happen. Before we could get back to the next investigation, he had sold it to him. So, I'm not sure that he explained to this gentleman, and I'm pretty sure he didn't, that he was in violations, because when I went back to do the next investigation, this was the gentleman that was there, and he was saying that it was his business. So, I do have a green card from where I originally sent, and it was signed for as far as the letter. So now, not knowing, I'm not sure about that, because I do have a return card. But I do know, sir, that when this started out, it was the other gentleman, and the last 2 investigations that have been done, it has been the gentleman that just spoke who said he purchased it about 6 weeks ago. And in fact, he actually got it before it was time for my 30-day reinvestigation.
Thank you. Any further questions from the board? Thank you. I'd like to introduce some additional documents into evidence today. Item A would be the zoning inspector's report of the violations and current inspection. Item B would be the neighborhood statements for petition for revocation. Item C would be the photographs provided to the board today. And item D would be the letters provided from the previous tenants on Bamberger. The matter concerning hearing number 8200 is now closed and submitted. The board will now move on to its second hearing, numbered 8201. Hearing number 8201 is being conducted pursuant to section 26.100.030 of the revised code of the city of St. Louis. The purpose of the hearing is to determine whether the conditional use permit issued to M&I Market LLC, CO Lisa Hurley and Margaret Misher to occupy 4649 Carter as a convenience store with no cooking nor liquor, subject to certain conditions, should be revoked. The conditional use permit is numbered as 123732. The conditions at question are conditions number 3, 4, and 8, which read as follows. Condition 3, there shall be no cooking on the interior or exterior of the premise at any time. Condition 4, there should be no sale of items that can be used or intended for use as drug paraphernalia as defined in Ordinance 68404 or its successor ordinances, including but not limited to food scales, glass tubes, rolling papers, ephedrine, pseudoephedrine, diet supplements, sleep aids, bath salts, or substitutes for illegal drugs. In addition, there shall be no sale of cigars or cigarillos commonly used or adapted for this use involving a controlled substance, examples of which include but are not limited to Swishers, Splitterillos, Backwoods, Optimo, Garcia and Vega, and Game. Condition 8, there shall be no temporary signage off or on premise or posted on the exterior, interior of the windows or doors of the establishment at any given time. The Board of Public Service has in its possession the following documents which are being introduced into evidence. Item 1, a certified copy of Section 26.100.030 of the zoning codes of the City of St. Louis. Item 2, conditional use permit numbered 123732, issued to M&L Market LLC, CO Lisa Hurley and Margaret Misher, to occupy 4649 Carter as a convenience store with no cooking nor liquor, subject to certain conditions. Item 3, a letter dated June 27, 2017, sent to M&L Market LLC, CO Lisa Hurley and Margaret Misher, from the zoning inspector warning of the violations of conditions numbers 3, 4, and 8 that were found upon a recent site inspection and the potential for a revocation hearing should the violations not be corrected within 30 days of the date of the letter. Item 4, a memorandum from the zoning inspector to the zoning administrator stating that upon her reinvestigation performed on June 20th, 2017, the zoning inspector still found violations of conditions number 4 and 5 of the conditional use permit. Item 5, public notices for today's hearing. And item 6, a certified letter dated June 27, 2017, sent to conditional use permit holder from the board secretary providing notice of today's hearing. The Office of the Zoning Administrator has the burden to prove the conditional use permit conditions have not been complied with. After all evidence of the Zoning Administrator has been presented, the board will ask for additional testimony, if any, in support of the revocation. Then, the conditional use permit holder will be given the opportunity to present evidence. Lastly, the board will hear testimony in opposition to the revocation, if any. The board asks a representative from the Office of the Zoning Administrator to please come forward and be sworn in.
Right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
So help me God. Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Board. I'm so tired. All right, I'm going to give you two documents today. The first document I'm going to give you is one I posted for the hearing. And the reason why I'm going to give you this document is because virtually you will be able to see that there was some cooking going on. And the next one is my investigation from today. Okay? I wanted to explain that. Okay, I was at 4649 Carter today, and I have had conversation with the gentleman that runs 4649 Carter. Number 3, the violation, there should be no cooking on the interior or exterior of the premises at any time. Today when I was there was no cooking, okay? And it could have been because I was coming back, I don't know, but there was no cooking today. But because they have the kitchen there, they have apparatuses there, I just left it there, okay? Just to explain that, but there was no cooking today. Number 4, there should be no sale of items intended for use. Okay, on the bottom shelf of the cigar rack, there was a small case of Swisher Sweets, and he explained to me that those were some that were going back to the company. I don't know. Okay, and then number 8, there shall be no temporary signage on the premises, posted interior on the windows, whatever. Okay, if you look at the pictures, you'll see that there are banners on each side of the building, and then there's a big sign that talks about the EBT and all of that. And then there's this one sign that every time I go, I ask for it to be removed, and that's the Newport sign that's on the gate of the front door. Every time I've been there, I've said that sign needs to go. It's still there. I did talk to the gentleman today. If you look at the pictures, you'll see that there is, on the window of the kitchen, there is a menu, catering, whatever, on the window of the kitchen. So, I'm not sure exactly of everything that's going on, but let me say this. I have spoken to the gentleman that runs that particular convenience store.
Okay. Questions from the board? Thank you very much. If there's anyone else present who wishes to testify in support of this revocation, please step forward and be sworn in. Seeing none, the board asks the conditional use permit holder to please come forward and be sworn in.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Would you state your name and address for the board, please?
Theodore Beckton, 5253 Lotus Avenue.
Okay, please proceed.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I did talk, Ms. Turner came back out there today, and a lot of the violations that I do have, we've corrected them at the store. I have the pictures here the documents and the pictures here to show that we did correct them. Let me start off, as far as the kitchen, we no longer cook in the kitchen, and we have pictures here to show that the menus was taken down. Yes, we had built that kitchen because last summer we did cooking in the back of the store. We barbecued, so we were under the assumption that it would be okay to do that again. So we did build the kitchen. We invested a lot into the kitchen. We did not know that to be able to cook, we had a conditional use hearing like 3 months ago, and we did not understand or know that we had to be able to cook, and we should have added that into the conditional use hearing then. So we just thought we could start back doing our cooking, but once we found out that we were in violation of it, we had already invested a lot of finances into the kitchen. So we've shut the kitchen down, and we have the pictures here to show that we've shut it down. Yeah, it might be equipment or whatever in the kitchen because we plan to do the cooking in the kitchen. So we bought equipment, you know, under the understanding that everything was going to be fine. So that's why equipment is there in the kitchen, and we do have the pictures. Well, I have the pictures here to show that the menu that she stated was up is down. There's no cooking. And as far as some of the other violations, we got violations for no trash can, no sign out there, there's no soliciting. And I have pictures to show that we do have a trash can there now. It's been there for over a month or so. We do have the signs that say no solicitation. You know, so we've for the most part, we've done everything that we were supposed to do. Now, it was some misunderstandings on things, like the cigarillos. We didn't know that we could not sell cigarillos. You know, I understand what was stated in the conditional use hearing, but I've had stores before. I've had 3 stores, and I don't know, I guess this is a new law or whatever, but it just was a misunderstanding by me that you couldn't sell cigarillos at all. But now that I have a full understanding of it, you know, I get it now. I understand that it's none of it, you know, none of it is allowed or whatever. So that's being addressed. She was mentioning something, mentioned about a sign that's been there at my door. I thought that the company was going to come down and remove that sign. It's a Newport cigarette sign. They said that they would like to remove their sign from their door, from up there at the building. So it has, that one sign has stayed up there longer than any other sign, but it will be down, you know, be taken down. So I'm saying everything that she's pretty much spoke on, we've pretty much addressed. You know, so we're just trying to, me and my family, my fiance and daughter, we've opened up a business that's been vacant for over 25 years. We've invested a lot of our finances in there. And I have the support of the community, the alderman, the committee woman. You know, they've been to my store. It's a brand new store, you know. It was nothing ever there, and we're just trying to have something, provide a living, provide an income, and provide something for the community. You know, we're not just there. Like I say, my fiance has been a resident there over 31 years, so we're not new to the community. You know, and we do plan on doing doing some charitable things for the community, but. Getting back to this, we have pretty much addressed all of the violations that the inspector said that we were in violation of, you know, and if there's anything else we have to do, then we'll do that, because it seems like ever since we've opened this up, it's been one thing after another, and like I say, we've poured a bunch of finances in this, but we're willing to do what it is that we have to do.
So I have a couple questions for you. So you're no longer using the kitchen, correct? Okay. You're not going to use the kitchen anymore, right?
No, we just had a conditional use hearing for the kitchen 2 weeks ago. So we got a lot of things going on here,
Right.
and I'm kind of waiting to see what the response, the outcome is going to be on that.
But I guess what I'm saying is you won't use the kitchen unless you get permission to use
Correct.
the kitchen, correct? Okay, item number 2 is the cigarillos. You now understand what you can and can't sell, correct? Okay, and item number 3 is any signage that goes up has to have a permit. No temporary signage. It's that simple. You go to the building division, you work out a permit process with them,
And that's-
you get a sign to go up.
And that's
so
what I'm in
any
the-
of these signs that are up today that she took pictures of, you'll take down, right?
Correct. And that's what I'm in the process of now, dealing with Lyle of the zoning committee on my signs. So I got all this going in motion, so it's not like I'm just sitting still and not doing anything, so, but that's fine, yeah,
Okay.
it's understood.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
If there's anyone else present who wishes to testify opposing the revocation, please come forward and be sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Would you state your name and address for the board, please?
Laura, Laura Keys, Keys, and my address is 4541 Athlone Avenue, St. Louis, Missouri 63115.
Please proceed.
Okay. I am the committee woman in the 21st Ward, and we have been in constant contact with Mr. Beckton and Ms. Hurley, and have made visits. The committee man and I have made visits to the store. We're very happy to have this store in the community. It's bright, it's clean. They've done a wonderful job at keeping the exterior of the building picked up, which, all of these corners can be challenging, particularly because his store is right next to a bus stop. And despite that, the exterior, whenever I drive by, it's always picked up, it's always cleaned up, and we certainly appreciate that. We don't have a whole lot of businesses in our ward, so naturally we want to nurture and work with the various business owners to be able to be successful in our community. And like I said, we're very happy to have M&L Market as a part of the 21st Ward.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to testify opposing this revocation, please step forward and be sworn in. Opposing. Revocation.
Opposing meaning that you don't want it to be revoked. It's kind of a double negative in the sense that you don't want it to be revoked, you do not, versus you support the revocation, and this would be opposing, meaning you do not want it revoked.
Would you sign your name, please? Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Sure. Thank you.
State your address for the board, please.
Alderman John Collins Muhammad, 21st Ward, 4210 Fair, St. Louis, Missouri, 63115.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am in support of this business. I share the same sentiments as the committee woman. We don't have any businesses in my ward, which puts my ward in an uncomfortable position. When you have someone that's willing to come in and invest their own money and do whatever it takes to create a thriving business, I think that we should support it. And I am in complete support of this business. We need it. Again, he is located in a community that is struggling all the way around, whether it's crime, whether it's no economic development, or whether it's just an overall access of debris around his building or in my community. And what he has done is completely came in, changed that corner, which changes that community, and he's offering services to that community that we need, which I'm in support of. So I only ask this board to also be in support of him and his business, and by supporting his business, you are supporting my ward, and that's exactly what I'm asking for.
Thank you, Alderman. Any questions for the Alderman? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to testify opposing this revocation, please step forward. Seeing none, I'd like to add a couple items into evidence today. I'd like to add the report as item A from the zoning inspector, and item B would be the photographs that went out with the original notice for the revocation hearing. This matter concerning hearing number 8201 is now closed and submitted. The board will now proceed with its regular agenda. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie. Here. Director Rundy.
Here.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Moore is excused. Director Deacon. Here. And President Bradley.
Here, we have a quorum. I'll call the meeting to order.
From the President, contract and bond for letting number 8643, ceiling and air curtain at door 27, T1 apron under C Concourse, St. Louis Lambert International Airport. Recommendation that all bids be rejected for letting number 8645, Terminal 1 Baggage Claim Drive to Ticketing Drive Staircase, St. Louis Lambert International Airport. The project will be reevaluated, rebidded at a later date. From the President, Director of Public Utilities and Streets, joint recommendation that permit for Midtown Locust Properties, LLC, for public improvement for the construction of new parking lots, with installing new entrances at existing curb cut locations and make improvements to existing stormwater facilities in the 900 block of South 4th Street and City Block 74 for 916 South 4th and 313 Shoto be approved subject to certain conditions. And Missouri Historical Society and the City of St. Louis Board of Public Service for public improvement for reconfiguration of existing intersection to accommodate bump outs, new accessible curb ramps, improved crosswalks and markings, curbs, and drainage at 14th Street, Market to Pine, 13 and 15, and 1300 through 1344 Chestnut, and City Blocks 500 and 491. Recommends approval subject to certain conditions. From the President and Director of Streets, joint recommendation that permit for Union Electric Company doing business as Ameren, Missouri, for an easement 10 feet wide by 80 feet long for temporary overhead service at 626 South 1st Street be approved. From the Director of Public Utilities, recommendation that the following emergencies be approved as follows. Critical masonry repairs to all facades of historic Compton Hill Water Tower. Labor and material to rebuild Chapman 30-inch discharge cone valve for distribution pumping station. This large specialty valve can be repaired by AC Service and Repair in York, PA, who specializes in this type of valve. To reconfigure 3 36-inch transmission main propeller flow meters. And all materials and labor necessary, replace a cracked and broken gearbox bracket on the Chain of Rocks primary pump station overhead 2-ton crane. Recommendation that permit for Union Electric Company doing business as Ameren, Missouri, to provide new electrical service to 601 Waterworks Road. Proposed overhead line must cross City of St. Louis Water Division property. Ameren, Missouri is requesting a 20 feet wide easement across the Hog Hollow property. Recommends approval, subject to certain conditions. From the Director of Public Utilities and Streets, joint recommendation that the following permits be approved, subject to certain conditions as follows for Union Electric Company doing business as Ameren, Missouri, to install conduit on south side of Clayton, east of Taylor, to set pole at the intersection of Ann and Alley west of Indiana. Propose a new pole is to facilitate removal of 4 other poles. And install cable in alley of South 13th between Alley and Russell and Alley of Ann. Recommends approval. Recommendation that HCI Acquisitions, Inc. to encroach with 1 temporary well along Geraldine, just west of Haycross Chemical Facility at 4330 Geraldine, install a depth of less than 30 feet below ground, consisting of a PVC riser and screen assembly that sits just below grade to facilitate facilitate groundwater, recommends approval, subject to certain conditions. From the Director of Public Utilities and Public Safety, joint recommendation that permit for 4001 Investors LLC, care of Coleman Group, to subdivide land at 4001 through 99 Shoto in City Block 3957, recommends approval, subject to certain conditions. From the Director of Streets, an affidavit of Laura M. Cruz, a.k.a. Laura M. Meyer, relating to which provides for the conditional vacation of public air surface and subsurface rights for vehicle equation and pedestrian travel in 17.5-foot wide north-south alley in City Block 5334 from Terrence South 150.07 feet to the 15-foot wide east-west alley in City Block 5334 is bounded by Terrence, Christie, Gravois, and Dahlia in the City of St. Louis for petition number 6831. Recommends approval. From the Director of Public Safety, recommendation that the following festival zones be approved subject to certain conditions as follows. Gospel in the Street, July 29, 2017, Mount Chapel MB Church at 989-661 Lambda between St. Louis and Labadie. And Arch at the Blues at the Arch, August 4th, 11th, 18th, 25th, 2017, 991380 North Gateway Park on the Arch grounds and along Washington Avenue between 1st and 2nd Street. And St. Louis World Fair Heritage Festival and Games, August 18th through the 20th, 2017, 952290 World's Fair Pavilion and Government Hill in Forest Park. And Relay for Life, August 26, 2017, 924-205 Forest Park, Emerson and Grand Basin and Art Hill for the American Cancer Society. Now we have the conditional uses.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board. My name is Michael Vicentainer, zoning plan examiner for the city, and I'll be representing the building commissioner at today's meeting. Per board order number 766, transmitted herewith are recommendations for the following conditional use agenda applications. Approval is recommended for 2 applications at 3253 Minnesota and 3328 Lemp. Approval with conditions is recommended for 3 applications at 3830 Morgan Ford, 6203 Gravois, and 6335 through 37 Clayton.
Are there any questions on the conditional uses? Seeing none, I'll take a motion, please.
I move to approve the conditional uses. Second.
Moved and second for approval. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie?
Aye.
Director Rundy?
Aye.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Moore is excused. Director Deacon?
Aye.
And President Bradley?
Aye. Conditional uses are approved. Hearing number 8200 at 3800 Gravois. We have a situation where we have 2 conditions that are in violation. The testimony today was that the previous conditional use permit holder had been notified. There's another gentleman who has bought the store, and he is somewhat aware of what the issues are, but he is not the conditional use permit holder, so therefore he cannot make any changes to the existing store as is, as the non-conditional use permit holder. So I'd like to open the floor for discussion. Any comments from the board?
I would think maybe we ought to just revoke this one and the new owner apply for a new one. I'm in agreement.
Okay. Probably the cleanest way to do it is to revoke the existing conditional use, and then the new owner of the store simply apply for a new permit, and then that person would be responsible for the complete operation and maintenance of the permit. So if there's no further discussion, I'll ask for a motion, please.
I move to revoke the permit. Second.
Okay, moved and second for revocation. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie?
Aye.
Director Rundy?
Aye.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Moore is excused. Director Deacon?
Aye.
And President Bradley?
Aye. Permits revoked. Hearing number 8201, which was 4649 Carter. We had a situation where there were 3 conditions in question. I think we heard from the conditional use permit holder that he would work to allow cooking in his business, but would not cook until such a time that that was granted, that he was not, there was a misunderstanding with the cigarillos, but they would be removed from the store. And then the last item, that he was very clear that signage needed a permit and would remove anything that was not permitted. So I'd like to open the floor for discussion.
I would like to defer this until, give them an additional time to actually demonstrate that they're going to be compliant with it.
And what time period would you think would be appropriate?
I would say 30 days.
30 days would be plenty, I agree.
Okay. So the thought would be is that we would do a reinspection in 30 days from today, and assuming that everything is resolved, we would not revoke this. We would not come back to the board with it.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? I'll take a motion, please.
I would move to grant an additional 30 days to come into compliance.
Second.
I have a motion for non-revocation and 30-day cure period. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy.
Aye.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Moore is excused. Director Deacon. Aye. And President Bradley.
Aye, not revoked. I'd like to turn your attention to our meeting minutes from last Tuesday, July 18th, 2017. Are there any questions or comments on the minutes as presented? Seeing none, I'll take a motion for approval.
I move to approve last week's minutes.
Second.
Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy.
Aye.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Moore is excused. Director Deacon. Aye. And President Bradley.
Aye, minutes are approved. Today's agenda, questions or comments on the agenda?
I move to accept the agenda.
Second, previous roll.
Been moved and seconded to accept today's agenda. There's also been a call for the use of previous rule. Is there any objection to use of previous rule? Seeing none, the agenda is approved. Motion for adjournment, please.
I move to.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.